And talking about something that drives every single practice owner absolutely nuts. It drives me nuts. It drives my clients nuts. And I hate to see it because it's costing you a lot of money and you're not really sure what to do about it. And so today we're talking about cancels and no-shows and how I actually catch this stuff on the phone, right? Which is what you should be doing in the first place. Your admin should have the tools, they should have the skill set to know when they're talking to somebody that actually isn't going to show up, and or I need to know how to shift the person that I'm talking to. I need to know how to shift their beliefs potentially so that I can maybe convince this person to actually come in for an appointment and then actually convert to a plan of care. But there's oftentimes and there's warning signs that'll pop up as I'm talking to people on the phone or as I'm listening to phone calls. And there's those warning signs. And we should be able to weed that out on the phone so that these people aren't clogging up your schedule, booking up somebody else's slot when you can get another client that's red hot who actually wants to come in, right? So we're talking 7, 8 a.m.s, we're talking around lunchtime, we're talking about, 5, 6 p.m. if you see clients that late, those hot spots, which can be huge for, converting patients that actually want to show up, right? Not somebody who's just going to tire kick and be a problem. So what do we want to do? We want to listen to our first phone call, especially with these prospective clients. And there's some warning signs that oftentimes I hear when I'm auditing people's phone calls. What are some of those warning signs? Some of those warning signs are, hey, your client's actually like not even happy. They don't even sound excited to come in. They maybe they saw your ad online, or the doctor told them to come see you, and or they were referred to you. They're just not even really sure why, and so they're talking to you, and you go to get them scheduled at the end, and they don't sound excited. They say things like, yeah, sure, or yeah, I think I can make that. Or you tell them, hey, how's 4 o'clock tomorrow? Yeah, I think I can make that. Or yep, yeah, 4 o'clock sounds good. And it's like, did you even look at your calendar? And they just don't sound interested or genuine about actually wanting to come in. And so your admin should have the skill set and the tools to be able to pick up on those things. And then we need to be able to give somebody the option either not to schedule, or we need to be able to shift their beliefs a little bit. And so some of that comes back to, let's get them excited to actually come in. Let's provide some value. Let's find out all the problems or difficulties they've had with this particular problem they're facing. And then let's find out some of their goals, right? Like, beyond just, hey, how can we help you? What do you want to get back to doing? And when we can do some of that, now that may shift their level of excitement a little bit. But if your admin catches some of that lack of excitement on the phone, then we need to be spent again. The key to fixing that is spending more time talking to these people about what's important to them. They don't care about their knee pain or what you do or all the gadgets or gizmos or whatever it is you're trying to sell in the clinic. They don't care about your supplements. They don't care about your laser. They don't care about how much one-on-one time they get. They only care about whether or not you can actually help them. And we need to spend a really lengthy portion of the discovery of that phone call getting them excited around wanting to come in. And then now they sound a little bit more interested because they know, like, and trust you because you just spent 5, 10 minutes with them, or maybe even longer, depending on your price point of your product and your evaluation. And now they're actually excited to come in when you get to that point in the phone call. So that can be one big step that can be super duper helpful and effective for just decreasing that cancel and no show because these people are actually excited to come in. Now, the other big thing that I want to pick up on in reducing cancels and no shows is talking to the patient and picking up on cues, especially at the end of the call or even the beginning of the call, when they're talking about what their intentions are of coming in. And what do I mean by that? Oftentimes I'll pick up a phone call. Like if we had a cancel or no show, I'll pick up the phone. I'll look at the recording of the call or one of my clients' recordings of the call. And what I start hearing is the client actually told you they had zero intention of actually showing up anything beyond, especially the first visit. And so these people who have no ties to you or desire to actually fix their problem now suddenly become a lot less inclined to even want to show up, and certainly a lot less inclined to actually want to purchase a plan of care or hang out with you beyond the first visit. So what are the things that I hear on the phone and what you need to pick up on and your admin needs to be able to pick up on? And those things are, hey, I only want to come in for the first visit, or hey, I was only hoping to get an evaluation, or well, I'll at least come in for one session and then we can kind of figure it out from there. That's code word for I don't know, like, and trust you. I don't even know if I'm going to show up for this first visit, and I'm certainly not coming anything after that. And those are the type of people I personally don't want in my clinic. Now, we can shift their beliefs a little bit, but that's the thing we have to hone in on. We have to start honing in on that first phone call. Because if now we don't meet that head on the phone call, they're much more inclined to not show up. They're much more inclined to cancel or reschedule 4, 5, or 6 times. And then they're certainly not going to buy a plan of care if your patient actually goes to talk to them on the phone, or your PT or your provider, whoever it is, goes to talk to them in the clinic about coming for a package. No way they're going to come and convert to that. So we have to meet that head on. If you're hearing that objection around, hey, I'm only planning on coming for once, we have to mention to them, right? We either have to give them the option to not schedule, and then we have to also mention what it looks like to work with us beyond just the first session. So many clients, they just really don't know how things work, right? Like if you think about, what's most familiar to me is orthopedics, right? So in the orthopedics world, they just go see the orthopedic surgeon, they get an x-ray, they get a diagnosis, and then they like either throw a boot on it or just tell them to rest, right? And they think that that's kind of what a treatment plan or protocol looks like. And so the same thing happens with these patients. Well, I'll come in for the eval and I can kind of figure it out from there. But what they don't know is like, hey, I can provide some exercises and like modifications and some manual hands-on techniques that like you resting isn't actually going to solve, right? And so that's what you need to just warm them up to the idea of what it looks like to work with you beyond that first session. Because once they know that, once they know that you can actually help them, once they know that you actually care, then now they're not going to cancel or no show on you just simply because simply because they didn't think you could help them, or there was some uncertainty that was still sitting around. And until we get rid of that uncertainty, there's no way that that client is going to actually show up. And that's where picking up on some of these verbal cues can go a long, long way in actually getting these people to show up and actually wanting to convert to a plan of care. And all of that comes back to the first phone call. And so many of you guys, you're not auditing your phone calls. You're not doing any training with your admins. They have no clue on what to do with these people as that comes up. Like I've talked to my admin before after somebody canceled, and like I'll literally see some of the notes that she puts on the patient. She's like, I'm not sure this person's going to show up. And it's like, well, why did we schedule them? Right. And oftentimes it seems silly, but I didn't give my admin any tools on how to actually fix that. And you guys aren't doing that either. Right. And so now they show up on the schedule and they're clogging things up, and we need to get this person out of here and not waste everybody's time. Especially in our practice where we're one-on-one for the entire hour. It's like, dude, this is going to absolutely wreak havoc on our productivity if we don't get this person to show up. So that's kind of the last big step of this is we got to give our admin some tools to actually be able to handle this. And so when those things come up, we need to give them the option. Like the admin thinks that their only job is just to get people scheduled at whatever cost. And that's not exactly what we want. And so we want to give them the tools. So I tell my admin and anybody we're coaching, either their front desk or any of the admins that we've trained and placed into practices, I always train them on the fact of, hey, give these people an out. If they sound like they're not a good fit, call out their uncertainty right there on the phone. Hey, John, it sounds like you're maybe a little unsure about whether or not you actually want to come in for this. Do you actually want to schedule your first evaluation? And sometimes that's like the break in the conversation where the person's like, well, no, I don't really want to schedule. I was going to schedule anyways, just because you were being so polite and you took the time. And then I was just going to hang up and actually text you and kind of cancel later. And so this is the opportunity, because if you hang up the phone, you let this person cancel via text message or on the phone, you're never going to get them back. Versus if I can meet that uncertainty head on while I'm on the phone with somebody, oh man, now I have the opportunity to actually communicate and try to solve their problem and actually see if they want to come in. And if not, no problem. Like let's get them scheduled out, or let's give them the off ramp, so to speak, and not let them schedule. So call that person's uncertainty out on the phone, and then give them the option: either handle the objection that they have, or let's go ahead and let's not get them on the schedule because I don't want them clogging things up. So that's how I like to handle these cancels and no-shows. So much of this comes back to the first phone conversation. You guys want to blame your marketing agency or your leads and all these other things. And so much of it comes back to either if it's you taking the calls or your admin, or if maybe you got multiple front desk. The key is they're just not doing a good job with it. And you haven't personally, as a leader, given them the tools to be able to handle that. And this is where this goes a really long way. If we can pick up on it, meet it head on, and now I don't have these cancels and no-shows clogging up the schedule. So if you found this info helpful, I would love it if you subscribe to our page and or you gave us a follow on Instagram, instagram.com/virtual fresh, and would love to continue to be a resource and a helpful hand in either training your current front desk or getting you one of our fully trained remote admins. Either way, I'd love to start a conversation. I'm an open book. Let's jump on a call if you have questions, and yeah, look forward to hearing from you guys soon.